Welcome back to Badmomcrafting. It is Thursday, January 16th. It is around 1:10, and today we're going to talk about books, some games, some movies. I'm going to show you the works in progress I have to show you what I've done with it. I'm going to show you the current book I'm reading. And the books I've finished since I last put an episode, try and figure out how to put a picture of them on the screen. So, also, I want to talk about movies. So, I keep saying so, I'm sorry. Anyone who knows me knows I do not like horror movies. I do not like scary movies. I very much so am a comedy, kids kind of movie person, simply because I get scared enough in real life. I have too much anxiety for horror movies. But when this movie franchise first came out, my mother-in-law told me about it. It's A Quiet Place. And so she's like, it's really not that scary. It's really a good movie. So I decided to watch A Quiet Place. Watched it, loved it. I then watched Quiet Place Part 2, and I had heard noise about A Quiet Place day one, but I didn't go out of my way to find it and watch it until I'm a scroller off of YouTube Shorts. There's a video about where a guy was running to the water with a cat, and I was like, I gotta watch A Quiet Place day one just to see what happens with this cat. Yes, I want to know. I'm a cat person. I love cats. I have a merle cat and a black and white tuxedo cat. So I watched A Quiet Place day one, loved it. I was like, oh my goodness, I love this movie. I love the cat in the movie because the cat's crazy. Like, I don't understand how the cat didn't die, but yeah. Ended up really liking that movie. So then I talked about it with some people, and I had a friend tell me about another movie she said I should watch. I haven't watched it yet. I want to hear if anyone else has any opinions. So if you have an opinion and you want to post it, well, I'll listen to it. I'll read any comments you post. It is Devil All the Time. Has anyone else watched that? She showed me previews for it, and I'm sure the next time I post a video, I will talk about it. But I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to. Any other movies that you could recommend? I will gladly look at them, and if I think it's something I will watch, I'll watch it, and then I'll talk about it with you, if you would like. Okay, so now let's go on to books. So, I read the Ted Bundy book. I showed you guys that last time, and I finished it, and I realized something. The only reason the woman who wrote that book didn't die is because she had really good survival instincts, is what I think. And thank God she did, because, she could have died, and then we would have never learned about her side of the story. Like, I feel for her for having survived that, but I also thought she was very lovesick. The second book was Haunting Adeline. I have not finished that. I haven't read any more of it since December. I just haven't had time. I very rarely have time to sit down and read as it is, so the books I get from the library are my priority books. I have my leisure books and my priority books. Haunting Adeline is a leisure book, and I just haven't had time to read it lately. I'm going to get back into reading it. Hopefully next week will calm down. I don't think it will, because it's a busy week. I mean, kids to school and then probably doctor's appointments. So I hadn't had time to read that book. In between that book and Adeline, that book being the Bundy book, and then the Haunting Adeline book, I read a book called Betting on You by Lynn Painter. It was cute. It wasn't anything to write home about. It was like most generic romances, but from high school, and how people do things that, can upset a relationship just for it to come back. It's kind of what you expect out of a romance book. So the How to Knit book, excuse me, I Haven't gotten very far on that because as I was doing it, I was practicing the casting on and the knitting and the purling. And I'm kind of stuck because I'm trying to figure out the ribbed edges or the not ribbed edges, but the ribs in knitting. And so I'm starting to read on. I'm really reading about shaping, but I haven't made it very far. So the next book I'm reading is American Ripper, The Enigma of America's Serial Killer Cop. Ooh, I'm going to have to do that again. Anyway, obviously it is a library book. It is... I'm not very far into it, obviously. But from what I have read so far, I think that this man that this book is about has serious problems. And if they had just done some better testing, or because he did get tested at one point, if they had done something differently, the girls that he killed wouldn't have been killed. But like I said, I'm not very far into the book, and I will get there. But that's all I have to say about that book for right now. Are there any recommendations on books that you guys would like to do? Because I got recommended that book from a podcast. It was the Morbid Podcast. Great podcast. If you like if you like crime stories, bedtime stories, haunted road stories, go listen to the Morbid Podcast. Great. That's how I learned about the Bunny book, and that's how I learned about this book. Now, next, WIP updates. So, I was talking about last time about how I had the massive line cross stitch, and I had all these gifts that there's infamous bags of gifts, and that I would get them done when I get them done. Well, since then, I have gotten a deadline because the person that they're for is coming to where I live, and I figure, let's get him done. He can take him back with him, right? That's the best way to do that. Then I don't have to worry about shipping. Don't have to worry about him getting messed up on shipping. And he can pass them out, right? Awesome. So my new plan is to have a focus piece, which will be a cross stitch, the massive line cross stitch that I showed you last time, where I was over here last time. I was getting it's from here over to here done. And now I'm working across. I want to get all of this area done. Wait, maybe all the way over here. So this is what I'm working on now. So that's my focus piece. I'm going to get that. I'm still going to work on my other project because I cannot just think about, I'm just going to set down everything else and finish this. That is not the kind of person I am. So I'm going to work on that as my focus piece. I'm going to do the gifts in between as well. Like every time I finish a color or something, I'm going to do a gift and then work on another project for a little bit. When I was working on my son's crochet blanket, the one with all the green blocks, I looked up the pattern. It requires 1,020 blocks, and since I'm doing 2 colors, I need 510 of each block. A color, sorry. So far, I have 255 of one color, which is the green. So I'm about a quarter of the way done with that blanket. If you don't take into account that I decided to do a border in between all the blocks. That's my last project I did in between the lions and the lion cross stitch and the Nebraska ones. The next thing I will work on a mason jar cross stitch. It's still going to take a long time to get the line cross stitch done. I am enjoying doing it, but I was watching a video last month and they were talking about how they were making something for somebody and they said they're a knit-worthy person. And it brought to my attention that gifts like the cross stitch and the crochet blanket and stuff like that, people really should be worthy of them, because if you are a cross stitcher, if you are a crocheter, if you are a knitter, you put a lot of work into your gifts. And if people aren't showing you appreciation that you deserve for them, maybe you shouldn't do it. Like, that's, somebody has to be worthy of the gift you are giving them. If you're just doing it for somebody because it decreases your worth as well, is how I feel. So moving on. I would have liked to try and film me working on one of the blocks for my son's blanket, but I hadn't had time to do that. So I'm going to try and figure out how to add a video to these videos, but it'll be something in the past or future. I will maybe show you as I work on finishing up this one, like fully finishing it, so that all I have to do is wrap it up. Maybe I'll show you some of how I do that. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I very rarely move from beyond this point of a cross stitch. But what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to trim it, all this excess, and then sew that back like that somehow. And then I plan on wrapping it in a bag. Oh, that's actually looking kind of nice. Decent, rather. If only I could get it to stay like that, I would love for that to be the back, so that they didn't see all of that. I don't like the way that looks. I mean, it's not messy by any means, but anyway, so maybe I'll take you along as I finish that. Okay, so let's talk about a game. I don't play very many games. People have told me in the past, oh, you play games? What kind of games do you play? When I say I play Sims or Stardew, they're like, oh, you don't really play games, you play simulations. Which may be true, but it is on a game system, and I believe that is a game. I can play other games. I don't enjoy it as much. I'm not like my son and my husband. I don't want to get on Fortnite and just go around shooting people. If I really want to kill people, I'll do it on Sims. That sounded terrible, but that's how I feel. I'm not into competing and stuff like that. So, the game I want to talk about is actually Stardew. They came out with an update recently. So the wind just pushed my door open and it scared the living daylights out of me. So I had to go close that. Okay, so Stardew came out with an update probably like a couple years ago, and I couldn't play it because the update only came out for certain consoles like PC and stuff, and I don't play it on the PC. We don't have PC in our house to play games with. So I had to wait for that. And while we were waiting, we looked up more about Concerned Ape is the producer, game developer for Stardew. So we looked up to see if he had any other games like that. He has another game. It's not released yet. It's called Haunted Chocolatier. And eventually, when that comes out, I would like to get that and play that. But the Stardew update probably released onto the PlayStation Station, which is what we have to play games on. And so far, I've gotten to the point where I am in summer and I've updated all my tools to copper. It's a really fun game if you haven't played it. It's a farming simulation. You move on to your grandpa's old cabin and you update the property. You get animals like chickens and cows and ducks. You can get goats and sheep and pigs. And each animal produces a certain thing. And then you can farm stuff and grow it and then sell it for gold. You can go mine, you can go fish, you can forage for stuff. It's just a very, I don't want to call it mind numbing, but you don't put too much thought into the game. If you do, then you're doing the game for views, which I don't do. I do it to relax with. I play at night while my husband's going to sleep. I'm laying there playing a game sometimes, or I'm on my phone. But I digress. Anyway, so that's a very fun game, and I think everyone should maybe give it a chance if you're not a point shooter game. I think that is all I wanted to talk to you guys about today. If you have any other games like Stardew or Sims that you can recommend, I will gladly take those recommendations too. If you are wondering anything about me, by all means, ask me in the comments. I will do my best to answer you to the best of my ability, but I'm not going to tell you my personal information. I hope everyone is having a great month so far, and I hope everyone's staying busy and getting what they need done. Have a great day and stay bad. Bye!